This is Dads and Dunks, your to-the-point Wolves Talk podcast. I'm Tom.
And I'm Josh.
This week on Dads and Dunks, we recap the last 3 games. It was a good week to be a Wolves fan. For Stat Chat, we're talking Wolves bench and what we need from this crew. For Howler Foul, we've got the return of Slo-Mo. And for one big thing, Western Conference standings, where we're at right now, the chaos of 3 through 8. It's jam-packed. Let's get to it, Josh. What's up first?
Well, first off, I'm jealous that you're on vacation and you're in Florida. Although it's going to be warm this week, so you picked a bad week to be on vacation, if that's a thing. I don't know.
I mean, it's 82 and sunny, so
Yeah,
I'm happy with my choice.
You're winning. Okay, so I'm not on vacation. So first up on Weekly Tip-Off, we'll walk through last week's action, the scores, the standout moments, and the storylines that carry us into the week ahead. So to your point, great week. I think, Tom, you called it. I think you called it a 3-0 week before last week.
Right, you were right last time, and I was right this time. We're 2 for 2 collectively, so I think we're gonna get it again.
We're leveling up. Okay, the Wolves beat the Blazers 124-121. Barely beat the Clippers 94-88, and then we beat the Nuggets in Denver 117-108. Anything that stood out from you, kind of in general, from these 3 games, Tom?
The Blazers won. The storyline has to be Jaden McDaniels, and gave him a hard time, saying he should have scored 40 in front of his friends and family, as near as he can be to his hometown out on the West Coast, out in Washington. So he's from outside of Seattle or something?
Federal Way, yep.
Good to see him playing well. Jaden McDaniels, as always, and had a bunch of points, but was pretty inefficient. Portland was missing a couple of their key players too, so a game that we should win. I don't know. How about you on that one?
I had a lot of the same thoughts. I felt like Ant had a great first half, and then he got really inefficient in the second half. Jaden had an amazing game, and Jamal Crawford was giving him his flowers. That was great. Jaden played amazing, and it makes me really think, what is the ceiling of this team if he can play like that, get those opportunities? I thought it wasn't a great Julius game. Not a great Julius week in general. Rudy played great defense. Him and Klingon going against each other, that was kind of a fun battle. Klingon's a fun guy. Portland's a fun team. I mean, I know we won the game, but I kind of feel like if they'd have had Avdia or Sharp, like maybe we would have lost because we didn't play great defense, but a win's a win on the road. I'm happy.
Yeah, was this the one with the postgame? I think this is one with the postgame where they're talking about trying to not figure out if Jaden was mad or not, because you never know what's going through his head, but that he just plays better. Than the narrative was that he plays better when he's mad, and you can't really tell. But it got pretty like chippy in this game. It was pretty physical, so he did definitely get Jaden McDaniels angry, I guess, whatever that means. But yeah, I think he definitely does play a little better when he's angry.
All right, and then the Wolves stayed on the road, beat the Clippers 94-88. Any big takeaways from that game for you, Tom? What'd you think about it?
Another good win, but with no Kawhi. So tough to say. We should obviously beat the Clippers. I think the post-game, the big topic of that was Ant taking the shot when Finch was trying to tell him to pass, and sort of all the talk after that was about his relationship with Finch. So I don't know if you have any takes on that or the game in general, but I think that was sort of the big story from that game.
Yeah, I felt like we played really poorly. We were losing all game. We had to outscore them by 11 in the fourth quarter to come back and play great in the clutch. Kind of my overall thoughts are we didn't play good. I mean, I think Julius was 1 for 10 from the field, but Ant made that crazy 3, which he probably shouldn't have taken. But he also hit another similar 3 against the Nuggets on the other side, kind of like a step back 3 in the fourth quarter. He's just hitting all his clutch shots. It's probably not the best way to play basketball, but he's making it work. And I think about last year where we really struggled in the clutch when he was not very efficient or effective, and how he's just really grown in that part of his game. It's also hard because I feel like those guys who are the end of the game maestros, the guys that you want the ball in their hands, part of the reasons they're good is because they're irrationally confident, and Ant has that. And I don't think Finch would ever be able to take that out of his mentality. So like, I'm glad Edwards has it. It's not a great shot. It went in. I mean, at some point he's going to take that shot and miss it, and it'll be like, well, you should have passed. There was a wide open guy, over here. I think him and Finch are fine, but I don't know. It's interesting to see the internet speculate.
Yeah, I mean, Ant's comment was, me and my coach have the best relationship ever. He's right most of the time, 98% of the time, which is funny. So most of the time. So in this situation, he was not right, apparently. But it has been Finch's job to get Ant to play more within the system, to make the right pass, because Ant is going to want to shoot that. And he's so clutch that, of course, we want him to shoot it. But I think that was the storyline, is those two, getting after each other a little bit out there on the court. But they've got a really good relationship. And I think that that relationship is probably what is keeping Finch around, even though I know you'd like to see somebody other than Finch. But I think that's going to be one of the tough things, is going to be to get Finch out of here when Ant, verbally at least outwardly, says that him and Finch are a pair that he wants to see continue.
I know I am the Finch basher of our duo. I don't think that Ant has anything against Finch. I think that Finch really empowers him, sometimes maybe too much. I think the team too much, just like some structure in certain places. I do think that if the Wolves moved off of Finch for another coach that Ant liked, he would have no problem with that. But at the end, like, them both just getting fiery, like, that's just like a really fiery moment. Like, you just hit this dagger three. I didn't take him yelling as like he was mad at Finch. It was more just like, I'm the man, look at me. Like, he's just pumped, and Finch was just right there. So I don't think there's anything about that. I think thinking about more of the long-term trajectory of Ant's career and who's going to help him grow is where we can maybe talk about that. But yeah, I'm not worried about Finch and Ant having beef.
No, you have a moment like that, and morons on Twitter, X, are just like, see, he wants to go to Atlanta. He doesn't even want to be here. Like, okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's...
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can draw that conclusion. I always think it's funny, like, the big market teams are like, oh, he's going to be in New York, or can't wait for to have him on the Lakers. It's like, I don't think that's what that means, but,
Yeah.
whatever everybody's got to do to fill their time, I support them. Okay, what about the best game? What about the Nuggets game? And the reason I'm turning it to you, Tom, is because do you think this is the best Bones game he's ever had in a Wolves uniform?
Has to be. It was fun watching this game in Florida. So it was great. On vacay. Yeah, I was on vacation, and we got a win against the Nuggets. I mean, how much better could this be? It has to be the best Bones game. We'll get to the bench stuff here in a bit. I think in our next segment. But so yes, Bones playing really well is an indicator of the team winning the game. And unfortunately, he's not consistent in that way. Yeah, he played lights out. I was watching on and off because we're here in Florida. I was like pausing it and going and doing stuff here on vacation and watching it again. And I got a text from Travis, a buddy of mine. He was like, hey, Bones, just texting me about Bones. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And I had to tune back in. So people noticed. How about you?
He was just on fire in the first half. I think he was really the reason that we were kept afloat, going to the halftime and actually having the lead. Kind of had a rough first quarter. So yeah, I thought it was really impactful. I was also kind of thinking about throughout the game, like the difference between like having Io in the game and somebody like Mike Conley, and like how that's just kind of like given our team more opportunity. You take a low point, and all of a sudden that low point is like not there. So it's like, oh, the places where your team can be hurt, you took away maybe one of the biggest weaknesses, and I would say turn it into a positive, but at least, like a net neutral. I thought that was really impactful because I was thinking about who would Conley be guarding, if he was out there, looking at like Jamal Murray coming off screens and what Tim Hardaway was doing. I also felt like, it was great that we won. I felt pretty good in the second half. They really need Aaron Gordon. Jokic is, I still think, the best player in the league, but anytime Ant got downhill on him, like Jokic had no rim protection. I think in the playoffs, you would just spam that over and over again. But if they get Aaron Gordon back, he's a really great player, so that'd be interesting to see. I also thought this was a great DDV game. He obviously shot really well. He was, I think, 5 for 10 from 3. All he took was 3-pointers, but it was the other stuff. Like, he had a lot of good assists, 5 assists, no turnovers. He had a couple steals. He had some important rebounds. He just felt like he was always in like the right place at the right time. Like, he made the play that's like a 50-50 ball, and he was always getting it. And when you're playing a team like Denver, especially on the road, it feels like you need something like that. So I felt like this was a really great DDV game beyond, his great 3-point shooting.
Yeah, these games all sometimes blend together, but this week at some point, I remember he'd hit, I think, the first shot and then came right back down and got the 50-50 loose ball rebound, and it was just like pure Dante. So I agree. And to the Nuggets points on this one, they do for sure need some reinforcements. They're up and down. The post-game sound from the Nuggets, I think Jamal Murray called their defense inexcusable, and they're struggling to get a stop. Then when they make a run, get a stop, turn it right back over. They said it's frustrating and uncharacteristic. It's becoming more of the norm with them as of late, but when they're full health, I still really worry about the Nuggets. So, but if a fun win, a really good game, and I think I called it when you posted it on X, a close win. I almost called it a blowout. Was it blowout, close win, getting blown out, or close loss? I did close win. I don't know where we ended on that poll, but
we had
it's right.
about 64% said Wolves get a close win. About 9% said we crush the Nuggets. And then 18% said we lose a close game. 9% said we get crushed by the Nuggets. So what is that, like 72% of the people felt like it was a Wolves win? And hey, Wolves Twitter, you were right. So it's scientific at
Wow,
this
shocker!
point.
Wolves Twitter thought that it was going to be a Wolves win. That's
Hey, we've
shocking.
got a very positive fan base, Tom.
Well, we're winning, and we've been to the Western Conference Finals multiple years in a row, so we should feel good.
All right, let's jump into Stat
All
Chat.
right.
And before we do that, let's talk about our newest sponsor, shower wipes. Let's be real. Most body wipes suck. They're too small, too dry, and they never actually get rid of any sweat or odor. That's why today's sponsor, Shower, is built different. Shower body wipes are huge, packed with powerful ingredients and individually wrapped to actually clean, refresh, and deodorize your skin. Toss a few in your bag for a quick refresh, whether you're coming from the gym, a long day at work, or just life on the move. So if you're looking for a way to feel fresh on the go, check out shower.co. That's shwr.co. And right now, when you buy a box, they'll send you another one for free. Just use promo code DUNKS at checkout. All right, next up, we've got Stat Chat, where we're going to break down some high-level stats, defensive rating, offensive rating, net rating, and some other intriguing stats from the week. So the Wolves are ninth in offensive rating, we're ninth in defensive rating, and we're ninth in net rating, which actually kind of went down a little bit this week, which is weird because we won all 3 games. But our really relevant stat, this is actually from Alan Horton, who's been doing a great job calling games for the Wolves. He shared this on X, and he said the Wolves are 20-3 when the bench scores 36 or more points, and we scored 38 against the Nuggets. So just thinking about that, Tom, that 36 number, we're 20-3 when we have an impactful bench. What does that mean to you?
I'm more hopeful that we can have an impactful bench now that we have Io and our newest addition, which we will get to in the next segment or two. You can't rely on Bones all the time because he is the spark, and he's going to have to be that guy. We talked about this before when DDV went into the starting lineup. You lost some firepower off your bench. If it's Nas and Io and now Slo-Mo, and not that he's going to shoot the lights out, but as a facilitator and as someone who can score and play defense, I'm feeling good that we can get there a little bit more consistently now, way more than I did partway through the season. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think the bench has really transformed throughout the year. At the beginning of the season, we were getting nothing. And at the beginning of the season, Nas wasn't playing very well, if you kind of remember back all the way. It felt like he was out of place defensively. He wasn't hitting his shots. He was getting offensive fouls going to the basket. And I think about 15, 20 games into the season, his game really started to click back in. But to your point, the switch from Conley to DDV with kind of the degradation of Conley's game. Again, you used to have like the 8 starters with Nikhil, DDV, and Nas. Well, Nikhil's not on the team, and now DDV's in your starting lineup. Conley's not providing that. You've just got Nas. Bringing Io, I think, has been fantastic. Like I mentioned, I'm talking about the Denver game. Having Io in there instead of Conley or Jalen Clark or whoever it may be, you're getting somebody who can attack the rim. You're getting somebody who's pretty good defensively. They can shoot threes. But also, like, him and Bones are really fun at getting in transition. And I think that's another way to just get more points is just get out and run, play against a defense that isn't set. So I think it makes a ton of sense. Like, our starters are pretty good. I think we have a really strong starting unit. And you need to have some bench reinforcements. The 36 number is interesting. Like, I think about the playoffs. Like, do we think we can consistently get 36 points from our bench? I mean, that seems like a lot of that seems like a lot. Although I guess we've done it 23 times this year. But I mean, if Nas is getting his minutes in the playoffs the last couple of years, Rudy's played a little bit less, so maybe Nas plays a little bit more. But I guess you're really thinking about, are you going to get 36 points from some combination of Nas, Io, Bones, Kyle Anderson? Like, what do you think?
Rudy can play less and Kyle can play more. Back to your other point too, Io's got a really good floor and Bones has a really high ceiling.
Yeah.
And so those two together are fun. And if you're getting Conley defensively was a liability, and his shot fell off the face of the earth this year. So Io's clearly a better shooter and clearly better defensively. So getting stops and getting out into transition is obviously going to help your offense. So in the playoffs, everything tightens up. So I would be I don't think that they will get that many points consistently in the playoffs because generally you tighten your rotation. But at this point, we've had such a tight rotation and we've had players who haven't performed. You've had Clark and TJ's been hurt, and Clark hasn't been able to shoot this year, and Conley's been bad. Nas comes alive. You have the ascension of Bones, who's streaky still, but then you add a guy like Io and you add a guy in Slo-Mo. I kind of feel like it's more possible now than ever. Like now you're up to 8 or 9 guys that you might want to be playing at any given night in any given situation, where you were at like 6, maybe 7 if you were feeling confident on any given night. So that feels, I don't know. It's weirdly, normally things tighten up at this point, but because we've had those additions and our bench was so bad, it feels like our bench is just like actually like on the rise at this point, which is a good time to rise, I suppose, on your way to the playoffs.
Totally.
All right. And I want to call an audible here because normally we go to our one big thing, but because we've been talking Slo-Mo and Slo-Mo was the news, I want to go straight to Slo-Mo if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
All right. So basically we're talking about our bench. Can we get 30 to that 36 point mark consistently? Does Slo-Mo get us there?
Hey.
All right. So you put it out there on X. We were asking people, what should we have for our fan mailbag segment? And we got the Kyle Anderson minutes. So Slo-Mo. So for this section, we have Slo-Mo will get over 10 minutes per game, howl or foul.
Howl.
That was tough. I am also a howl. Not just because I wanted to hear the fun howl sound and not the whistle sound. I actually wrote in our notes that I was a foul, and then I thought about it more, and then I went to howl maybe 12 minutes, but that's so many minutes. So to me, I'm like, who are they coming from? Obviously, maybe a little bit of Io. Maybe he's played more, but do we want to take them from him? That was my mindset. It was like TJ's minutes, any minutes that Terrence Shannon Jr. would have ever gotten. A little bit of Rudy, if you're not playing Rudy. I just am wondering how we get to 12 because you don't want to not play Nas. I mean, I guess on any given night, maybe Nas isn't on, maybe Io's not playing as well, maybe Bones is streaky. I don't really know how we get there, but I do know that the upgrade is consistent. Slo-Mo's 23-24 season here, almost 7 points per game and almost 3 average assists per game. That's a huge upgrade over Terrence Shannon Jr. if you're just taking any of his minutes at 4. It's over 4 points per game and a half of an assist per game. So, and Finch loves him. So that's why I went over. I went over because Finch knows that he can count on him, that he can be out there as a floor general, play multiple positions. I don't know why you kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit too. So why did you end up going over?
Well, first of all, thank you to No Comma Club on Twitter for giving us this question. He said, what's the over-under on Kyle Anderson's minutes? Tom decided it was 10. I just did some like back of the napkin math. And so I looked at like what have our starters been playing? What's Nas been playing? What's Io been playing? And then kind of what's been left over. So since the All-Star break, there's been between 16 and 23 minutes on the bench. That's not those 7. And so thinking about that, and really it's 16 to 19 minutes to 23 was kind of a blowout game. So if you got 16 to 19 minutes, in my head, I'm thinking Kyle's probably getting 2 shifts, one in the first half, one in the second half. Depending on some things, I think depending on who you're playing, maybe he gets more, maybe he gets less. I think he'll average more than 10, but I think to your point, if Bones is hot a couple games, like maybe that eats into Kyle's. But I think in the playoffs, Kyle's going to play more than Bones because Kyle can play defense and Bones can't really play defense, and that's what gets you. They just hunt you on in the playoffs. If you can't play defense, they just run pick and rolls until they get the weak defender. So I feel like that's why Kyle will play more. Finch just loves him. I agree with you. Like, there's so many times he's like, oh, I should have played Kyle more, or Kyle should have got more minutes. And I think we've seen like a real need for a facilitator and some more like rim protection support, especially when like Nas and Julius are out there. So I think although I like Baron J minutes, I don't think Baron J is trusted. So in my mind, Anderson is taking Baron J's minutes, Clark's minutes, Shannon's minutes, Conley's minutes, and probably eats into Bones. So I think he's over 10, but it'll be something fun to track the rest of the year.
And his name is Slo-Mo for a reason. And so one of the key issues has been we still have had a team that has freaked out, even though Anthony Edwards has been really good in clutch time. The turnovers have been a problem. He's not a problem. He's going to just take his time. Like his heart rate in a game doesn't seem like it ever gets above like 50 beats per minute. He's just like so level that I think that's going to be really nice to have too. And I do think if you just if you haven't watched a ton of Slo-Mo, you go watch him and his highlights, playoff highlights, him directing traffic. There's a one that you see all the time where it's like he's pointing to the guy behind him and coming and setting a back screen for a skip pass for a three, and just his basketball IQ will keep him on the floor too, in addition to his defense, it feels like. And I think you talked about this before, some of his versatility where he can play this like point forward, point guard type position, and can also be a big when you have to play a lineup without Rudy.
Yeah.
So
he's the
I
weirdest
just
guy.
think his versatility gives him a minute.
If you have 5 minutes that you want to burn, like look at his old like UCLA or his high school highlights when he's drafted by the Spurs. He's just this weird point guard center. Like he can't really shoot, but he's a great passer. He's really good at defense. He's a decent rebounder. To your point, he's got really great basketball IQ. And I think also he's going to raise the like give a crap factor on the team. I mean, he's the guy who got it when Rudy punched him against the Lakers a couple years ago. I think there's some things that Conley and Ingles have tried to do to like hold this team accountable. And I think Kyle Anderson's another one of those guys, and he'll probably play more than them. So I think that's also more impactful.
Yeah, Rudy did punch him, but like in the chest, not in the face. It wasn't like a full Draymond. It was just in the chest. So was that the full punching year? That was also Jaden punching and breaking his hand year. Or was that?
I think that was different years.
Too much punching. We don't do that anymore, Wolves. But no,
Or
I
was
think
it the
that he's going to be a
same
great
year?
addition.
Maybe it was the same year. I don't know.
I think it might have been the same year. Anyway, that was really good. I don't have any other takes on that other than I think he's going to be really helpful. Again, him and Io, the bench is really going to start to come together, and he fits right in because he's been here. So it's another piece that, for as easy as Io has slid in, Slo-Mo will slide in just as easily, if not easier.
Tom, bring us into one big thing.
All right, now it's time for one big thing. What was the big news in the NBA, and how does it affect these Timberwolves? But before we get there, we want to shout out an early sponsor of the show, TNT Custom Sheds. Running out of space in your home or garage, TNT Custom Shed builds high-quality, custom-designed sheds that give you the extra room you need for storage, projects, or anything you want out of the house but still close by. Upgrade your space and make life a little easier with TNT Custom Sheds. Support small local businesses, head to their Facebook page, or contact them directly at ttcustomshed@yahoo.com. Now on to one big thing.
So our one big thing this week is the Western Conference standings. There's just been a lot of shakeups, and as we get closer to playoff times and seedings and how you want to be strategic with who you play, this just becomes more and more important. So the Wolves are currently 4th. 3 through 7 is still very congested. We are percentage points behind Houston for the 3 seed, and we are a game up on Denver, who's in the 5 spot. But if we would, for some reason, tie Denver, Denver has the tiebreaker against us because they beat us 3-1 throughout the year. So we're in the 4th spot. Tom, take it away. Do a little bit more of a deep dive for us.
I'm going to start by saying last week I was pessimistic because we were losing. And I said, I don't know if we can be up to the 3 spot. Maybe we'll be that 5 to 7. I said anywhere from 3 to 7. I'm revising my prediction as I'm allowed to do every week. And I think 3 to 5 feels good after seeing Kyle Anderson coming, after seeing some good wins again against some teams, depleted teams. But none of the teams that are up at the top are playing all that well. We're 4-1 with the loss to Philly. Houston's 3-2. Knicks and Miami losses. LA, I'd said from the beginning, they're not in my tier. My top tier lost to Orlando and Phoenix. When I saw that Phoenix loss, I was so happy. Go Phoenix. Denver, again, not playing really well. A Golden State loss is not good. OKC and then Minnesota. So I'm feeling a lot more confident that it can be in that 3 to 5 range. Where we land in there, I don't know. Again, we could slide, but it feels like this team is really coming together in full Finch fashion right now. But again, all it's going to take is us to have another loss like we had against New Orleans or something, and I'm sure I'll be right back down into the pit of despair as a Minnesota sports fan. But
I feel that. And also, the reason we're really talking with the 3 seed is the ceiling. Oklahoma City is the number 1 seed. The Wolves are 8.5 games back of them, and we're 5.5 games back of the Spurs in the 2 seed. I mean, anything is possible. But mathematically, we'd have to win a lot and they'd have to lose a lot to jump up to the 2. So it feels like realistically the 3 seed is kind of the ceiling. We're the 4 seed right now. Again, we're percentage points behind the Rockets for the 3 seed. I mean, I don't love the way it breaks down right now because that means you would play Denver in the first round. Like that would be just a really tough first round series. And then the next series is going to be a good team. The next series is a good team. I really think it's important that we get up to the 3 seed. because then you're most likely playing the Lakers or the Suns. Probably not the Warriors, like they're just too far out. They're 5 games back of the Lakers in the 6th seed. But you're probably playing the Suns or Lakers, who although they've beat up on us this year, I would much rather play those 2 teams 7 times and assume we win 4 of those than try to play Denver. So I think the 3 seed is really important. Anything you want to add there, Tom?
No, I think our strength of schedule, we talked about this before, is not great, but we have seen that I don't know that necessarily matters down the stretch. I think we play really well against really good teams, and so I'm not too concerned about that. I don't know if you have any other takes on that strength of schedule from last week too, and who we're trying to knock off.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the only teams that have tougher strength of schedule than us are the Thunder and the Nuggets, which it's, I guess, good that it's the Nuggets because hopefully we can jump them. But I don't want to play them in the first round. So yeah, it'd be great if Houston or the Lakers had weaker schedules or tougher schedules. Excuse me, they have weaker schedules. We like them to have tougher schedules. And looking at this next week, I mean, it's not bad. It's a 3-game homestand. We play Memphis, Toronto, and then Orlando is the prime game on Saturday. So all home games, the Grizzlies, the Raptors, the Magic. I kind of think we go 3-0. Tom, what do you think?
Memphis is so bad. We've proven that we can finally beat Toronto. I don't know. We've beaten Toronto before, but I'm going 3-0 as well. I went 3-0 last week. So you got it 2 weeks ago. I got it last week. Now we're both going to get it this week. 3-0, and we'll be sitting squarely in the 3rd spot in the West.
That'd be great.
A half a game up or whatever. I don't know. 3rd, we'll be taking 3rd outright after this week. All right, that does it. Do you want to go to Helping the Pack? That was a dense episode, but we can move right through it if you want. All right, so Helping the Pack. This is our section where we want to lift up youth athletes and grow our community. We're asking folks to head to dadsanddunks.com to support local youth fundraisers, teens, and families in need. If you have a need and a fundraiser you want to help us promote, email us directly at dadsanddunks@gmail.com. This week, we also want to shout out one more time, standwithminnesota.com. A lot of people are still hurting from what was happening here with ice in our city, so go to standwithminnesota.com. If you like the show, follow, rate, like, subscribe, and tell a friend.
New clips and content for Wolves Community Conversations. Dropping on Instagram and YouTube all week.
This is Dads and Dunks.
Go Wolves.